Okay, in view of the time, let's go ahead and get started. It's a pleasure to welcome you all to this 2022 edition of Library Faculty Connect Day. It's really a highlight in the library's calendar, and it's a real honor for me to be present at this event as the university librarian for the very first time. So thanks so much to everyone for making time as well in your busy schedules for this event. There's a lot to get through in this afternoon's program, as you'll have seen from the agenda. So I don't intend to take too much time with these opening remarks. But I did want to publicly acknowledge that we do have a very ambitious work plan at the library this year. And you'll learn more about that as we go through the presentation. So we've set some strategic priorities and we're now beginning to execute on them. So I really need to express my heartfelt and sincere thanks to my colleagues because frankly, they've been putting in superhuman efforts, to get a lot of this stuff done. And I know faculty members appreciate that as well. And more is still to come. Much more is needed to be done. And we do need the support and the help of faculty members. And I do believe that a big part of that will be communication, right? And that's what this event is about. And we hope that that continues throughout the months, the years to come, that we keep talking to faculty so that we can understand what your needs and expectations are, and so that we can feed back to you as well. So although this Connect Day is going to be a lot of us communicating to you, I hope it does become interactive as well. Oh, I forgot to mention that we will have a Q&A session at the end. So we did receive some questions through the registration form, which we'll address too. But as you start thinking, or as you listen, please do think of what questions you might have for us as well. We do want that dialogue to be a big part. And I want that to be a hallmark of my tenure as university librarian, this openness to communication and suggestions. So without further ado, let me dive into our first topic, and I mustn't forget the folks on Zoom. Major, and I don't use that term lightly, a really major right-sizing project and connected to a renovation. So the renovation area is the main library, level 6 and level 7 to be specific. And, oh, I forgot, this always never works with the clicker. This space, if you've ever been up to it, I would say that it's functional, it's fine, it's nothing terrible up there. But it is true that it has not been touched in terms of redecoration or anything like that since this building was completed in the mid-1990s. So, it could use a bit of sprucing up. There's no denying that. This renovation, we've had some discussions with the estates office, with the senior management of the university too, and we are going to maintain it as a silent study area. So even though down here, as you come through on level 2, we've transformed a lot of these spaces into more active discussion and discovery areas. We've heard from students and, we understand that silent study areas are still very important in the library. There was some suggestion initially that, we should have more learning commons space upstairs. But at the library, we were quite quick to sort of, no, I think this should really remain as a silent study area because that sort of space is still important to our students. But we will increase the amount of seating. Right now, there's, I think, about 300 odd study spaces on these 2 floors. The plans are still very preliminary, but we're hoping to increase that to around 500, maybe even more after the renovation is completed. Another big goal of the project is barrier-free access. Right now, we're not compliant with barrier-free sort of standards. If you go up to level 6 and level 7, the space, the aisles in between the shelves are very narrow. You cannot fit a wheelchair through those spaces, unfortunately. But as you can see from this image, the split wings are only accessible by a staircase. So a big part of the project will be to install lifting platforms to allow access to all levels of this space. Now, this is going to be a big logistical challenge. and my colleague Wing, who's in charge of resource management, knows this all too well. Because there are a lot of books up there, and just how many books are there up there? I'd like you to guess. So this is the first question. How many books are there on level 6 and level 7? So I've hidden the responses, but have a guess. It's given you a range there between 350,000 and 450,000. And librarians in the audience who know, I guess you should abstain. Just kidding. Don't worry, Wing. If you want to play, that's fine. Okay, let's give you 10 seconds. By the way, there are no prizes. But the drinks and souvenirs for those who are attending in person, there's no minimum standard. Okay, voting is closed. What did we think? The range, okay. A lot of people guessing, maybe because of the nature of my remarks, that it's towards the extreme end of the range. Some ones there too. Let me show you the correct answer. It is 430,000 volumes, which is a huge number of books up on those 2 floors. So the only real point I'm trying to make here is that it's going to be a huge logistical challenge for us to move those books. So the arrangements are 60,000 volumes will be moved down to level 1. So they'll remain in this building and they will be pageable through the library's system. That in and of itself is going to be a huge project because we have to pick them, and my colleague Gawai is right now thinking of how to do that and how to arrange all of that. There's going to be another 205,000 volumes that will move off-site temporarily. They will come back after the renovation is complete, but that will take upwards at least 12 months is what they're telling us now. But if you've ever been involved with a renovation project, you know they tend to run a little bit long. So it could be, or I expect it to be longer than that. And 150,000 will have to be permanently deselected. We simply don't have space to accommodate them. So as I've said already, huge logistical challenge for us. And it would be easier if there was just one space we were moving them to, but we're still talking to the estates office, and they want us to move some to, I think, Chunwan campus, some to another location, and there might even be up to 3 locations where we have to move these books because they take up a tremendous amount of space. So again, this is why at the beginning I started by expressing my profuse thanks to my colleagues, because this has been a real, don't want to use the word headache, but it has been a massive challenge and a significant source of stress, in all honesty, for the library. The details, as I mentioned, still to be finalized, but we hope to have those finalized details sooner rather than later. And as I've already alluded to, we've started some of the preliminary work. Now, of course, it's never great to have such a large amount of information removed. So we've thought about how can we mitigate this? And obviously we can't mitigate it. That's why I use the word mitigate instead of, sort of solve or sort of address the concerns about moving these books. But our first mitigation initiative is to reclassify items on level 6 and level 7 and move some of them to level 4 and level 5 so that they will stay in the accessible collections. But I do want to emphasize we have a very, very limited capacity to do this because it involves reclassification and it involves space on level 4 and level 5, which we do not have a lot of. But very soon, next week, we will be soliciting recommendations from the faculty. So if there are particular key titles in our collections on level 6 and level 7, we'll have a form where you can let us know, and we will reclassify those books and keep them on level 4 and level 5. So they will remain in the library. You won't even have to page them. This unlimited loan quota for faculty, we already had a pretty generous loan quota for faculty. I think it was 400, right, Guy? But we just lifted that now. If you would like to take 2,000 books home and store them in your office or wherever, I would be really grateful. But I know that's not a true way to solve this problem. But we did want to make sure, and that's why you need to tell people now that this is happening, because I'm sure that some faculty may be thinking of research projects that they may want to do in the coming 1 or 2 years. So to let you know now, so you can come and take those books now and not worry about quotas or anything. And remember too, our loan period is essentially unlimited. Unless someone else requests the book, you can renew the loan as many times as you like. So we just, well, what we can do is get rid of some of our rules to make things a bit easier for folks who want to keep more books. And last but not least, acquire e-versions of our print holdings. I put there, what did I put there? If feasible. Feasibility covers a lot of things. Cost, because ebooks are expensive. The other thing is whether they exist at all or not, because for level 7 is all Chinese books, and a lot of those are simply not available in electronic format. So my colleague Becky has been looking at our holdings, high usage titles, print titles on level 6 in English. It looks like we can order some of those so that they're available electronically. And we're looking at subscribing to a big ebook subscription database as well, at least for the period of the renovation. So certainly not perfect, but we hope that helps a little bit. But we definitely, desperately need faculty support on this. The first is spread the word. Like, I don't want faculty only becoming aware of this in, say, the beginning of April, which is roughly when this work will start, and say, oh, I had no idea. And now they're scrambling, to get books that they need. So please spread the word among your colleagues to let them know that this is going to happen. Of course, we will send mass mails and announcements, but you know how many mass mails and announcements come out. So it's very easy for this sort of message to get lost. We'll be asking your library coordinators to help out, of course, too, but whatever you can to spread the word. Let us know your feedback. Let us know, your particular challenges. Talk to your liaison librarian, and they'll feed it back to the team that's working on this project. And wherever we can, of course, we'll accommodate your research teaching needs as best we can. And last but not least, thank you for your patience. It's going to be long. The timeline, again, still not fixed. We'll probably begin towards the end of semester 2 next year. And at the moment they say, oh, we can hand the site back in maybe February of 2024, which I don't believe. Can we cut that part of the record? But in my own mind, what I'm preparing myself for mentally is for basically those 2 floors to not be available at all the next academic year. I think that's more a realistic way for us to plan, which again, not ideal, but I also keep my eye on the ultimate end goal, which is to have vastly improved spaces, more study, more and higher quality study space for our students. So it is a worthwhile goal, I think, worth all of the effort that we're going to be putting in. Okay. That's all I wanted to say about that. And so we're going to move on to our next agenda item, where I'll invite Wing and Eric to speak about our transformative agreements, but a little test for you. Maybe we should have made the souvenirs conditional in passing this test, but we're going to be talking about, Wing and Eric are going to be talking about transformative agreements. What are transformative agreements? What are they? I should hide the results so you don't see what others are putting in, giving you a couple of options there. And librarians should definitely get this. If not, we'll cover that in your performance review. No, I'm just kidding. All right, 14 answers. Let's give you 10 more seconds. Ooh, very good. 13 got it right. Yes, our transformative agreements with publishers allow HKB authored articles to be published open access for free. And librarians are tremendously excited about this, because we always believe we want the fruits of your research to be widely available as possible, and making it open access without you having to pay $3,000, $4,000 US is a great way to do that. Now, we've been working on this for some time. How many do we have? That's the next question. How many transformative agreements do we have in place already? Bit of a spread, which is understandable. The correct answer is, in fact, 3. And it, oh, you got it right. Well done. And it became 3. I say well done because the third one only came into effect, what, a week ago? 1st of December? December 1st. Yeah, roughly 1 week ago. So 3 we have now. We used to have 2. We used to have Cambridge University Press and American Chemical Society. But just this past week, we added IEEE to that list as well. I think that makes us the leader in Hong Kong, right? Even with 3? Not yet, but we will. And I'll let Wing and Eric explain. So let me invite Wing. Is Eric going to go first? There you go.
Hey, so for the next couple of minutes, Wing and I will be sharing with you about our open access work that the library is engaged in. So to set the stage, I'd like to first briefly talk about the open access plan of the RGC Research Grant Council of Hong Kong. And so some of you may notice this already, that RGC is actually quite aggressive in terms of like promoting, working with local institutions on open access. So it, drafted an open access plan, and it's a pretty long document, but we've highlighted some point, and I'd like to point out 2 specific points here. So the RGC would really like to support the open access for peer-reviewed journal articles arising from RGC-funded projects, and also on the third bullet, a lot of the initiatives will take place actually in the next 5.5 years. Okay. Now, HKBU Library and the Research Office, HKBU Research Office, are basically the representative of HKBU on the RGC OA committee. Now, with this in mind, when we're developing our library strategic priorities for 2022 to 2025, we've dedicated one specific priority to open access. So basically it's specifically priority number 2, lead the development of an open access culture and raise the visibility of HKBU research. And specifically we have 4 KPIs to kind of quantify what we do in these priorities. So number 1, open access compliance rate. So that means the percentage of faculty publications that are published open access based on IRIMS data. Now, a couple of slides later, I'll actually be talking a little bit more about IRIMS. Which is the, well, I'll talk about the full name later. Okay, so it's quite a mouthful. KPI 2 is the number of publications made open access under the publisher agreement, which is what Chris just mentioned about the transformative agreement. Wing will be actually talking more details about this. And KPI 3 and 4 is about digital scholarship projects. Now, we don't have time to go into, these 2 KPI, but I'm actually the manager for the digital scholarship program. So if you are interested and wanted to learn more about this, you can contact me directly. Okay, so maybe I'll pass the floor to Wing to talk about the transformative agreements. Okay.
Thank you, Eric. Is this okay to stand here? Okay. All right. Yes, KPI, one of the KPI is about the transformative agreements. And if you have attended the last event at this time, I mean, in that occasion, I also report about our transformative agreement progress. So first of all, let me update you about the 2 TAs in place, which one is the Cambridge one, which we already finished the first 2 years of this commitment. And last year, we have 8 articles being transformed to open access under this agreement. And this year, we are doing quite good too. We have 6. But I want to highlight is now we have more faculty members from various disciplines on board. In fact, humanities, SCE, and history are the new faculty members that their publishing output are converted into open access. And I also want to address one of the questions that we received from the faculty, whether SCE staff is eligible for covering under this TA. And I can tell you that yes, you can, because this TA, what we use the mechanism is first comes, first served. So we won't look at, whether you are from SCE or you are from UGC funded program or whatever, as long as we still have the quota and you submit the article being accepted, you will be able to cover under this TA. And I also want to share with you statistics. These 14 articles have been here. The longest one is probably 2 years, but the shortest one probably a few months. But these 14 articles already draw more than 9,300 downloads of the papers. So on average, each article is have 666 downloads. And what does this figure say? And I can give you a reference, although it's not an apple-to-apple comparison. At HKBU, we pay for 1,300 electronic journals to the publishers. And last year, total, more than 380,000 download of these paid journals. And so on average, each journal got about 280 downloads throughout the whole year. So of course, it is not a, as well I said, apple-to-apple comparison, but you can see a paywall journal, we only got like less than 300 downloads. But in here, if we convert to open access, it will get more than 600 at least under the Cambridge one. So you can see that when you turn your article into OA, you can reach out, your output can be accessed by those user whose affiliation doesn't subscribe to this journal. So it's really make sure your output could be outreach to more and more audience. Okay, next. Oops. The second agreement is American Chemical Society, and it just began in January this year. And if you attend the event last year, we did say that the first year we got a quota of 21 articles, and the second year is 25. And it's really, a surprise to us. In less than 11 months, we already used up all the 21 article quota. So indeed, we need to make a special arrangement with the publisher, whether they allow us to open up the second year quota to now use ahead. And by looking at the name of the publisher, you may think, oh, maybe just chemistry will publish over it. But in fact, these 22 articles is spread through the science faculty and even geography. I was quite surprised to see a geography faculty publish an article on ACS. And in this TA, the effectiveness is even more. You can see on average, these 20-something articles already draw more than 1,300 downloads since they published in less than a year. So I just want to emphasize that having the article being OAs really, will increase the impact of your research output. Okay, so this is the review. And I want to share with you on these the new TAs that we will enter in 2023. The first one, IEEE, is from, actually it's a bit strange to start from November 2022, but we have to make sure that it will cover at least 3 years. So all these 4 publishers agreement will be end on December 2025. So at least in these 3 years, our researcher output, if not all, some of them can be covered into this agreement and turn into open access. And For some TAs, we do have an expand of the content. So for example, the second on the left is Royal Society of Chemistry, in case, the logo is not very clear. Currently, we only subscribe to 3 journals from RSC, but with this TA, we have actually expand our content to all their 40 journals. They call Go package, and the content will begin from 2008 onward. So TAs, in some arrangement, it's not only that we convert our journal article to open access, but also expand our access. Just like the first one, Cambridge one, we also expand our content access from 60 journal to more than 360. So it's not only just increase the impact, but also for HKB user, now you can have more electronic journal content to access. And Taylor and Francis and Wiley, these are 2 commercial publishers that we took a long time to negotiate with. And for the Wiley one, actually is a consortium arrangement. Chinese U, Hong Kong U, and HKBU, we are the 3 libraries joined together and get this consortium deal. And I think for Taylor and Francis, is also a big improvement on the access of the journals. As you can see, we will gain 1,200 more journals from the Taylor and Francis platform. And I think for social science user, you may be particularly pleased to see this huge expansion, because we currently have less than 200 journals only. Okay, but well, these 4 TAs, they apply a quotas. So when we use the first come first serve, if it's used up, then we have to see whether there's any special arrangement could be done for with the publishers. And I have listed out the article entitlement at the bottom too. To negotiate with more articles is quite a tough job. Unlike what we have been doing, like database or book or journal purchase, the negotiation, TA is totally different. And the one took me the longest one is the Taylor and Francis. It took us more than 10 months to come up with a acceptable terms. And I would say, other than Wiley, the other 3, we are the first one in Hong Kong entering the TA agreement with them. So my boss already said that I have fulfilled the KPI for this. But my next KPI, which really scratching my head, is about that rightsizing project and the renovation project. That will be my next KPI that I have to achieve. Okay, so that's the update of the TA, and this information will also be posted up in the library website. So you will see the information once they are activated in January. And I remember in that Mentimeter question, there's also some people would think TA would be related to IREMS. And I don't think that is totally wrong. So, and I'll leave it to Eric again to say more about the IREMS. Thank you.
Thank you, Wayne. Okay, so, right, so I'm going to go back to the KPI number 1 from that for KPIs and about the OA compliance rate. So to understand that, we have to sort of look at this IREMS. So Wayne talked about. So what is the IREMS? Okay, so many of you probably have heard already, because we have actually ran workshops last September and also this September about this. So it's IREMS, the full name is called Integrated Research and Information Management System. Okay, so it's quite a mouthful, but so essentially it's like 3 modules. So the public module, so what you see on the front end, where the public, everyone else in the world who have access to the web can actually search, look at researchers' profile of HKBU faculty members, all the research output that they have produced, and also any open access articles that should be made available to the public are actually also stored with a copy on IREMS. So that's the public kind of like module, and we also have the back end, publication input module, where you as a researcher, as an HKBU faculty member, can log in and input all your, your publication records. And this is precisely what our workshop was about, showing you how to use that module efficiently, effectively. So, and then there's actually a third module called the research grant module, which is actually managed by the research office. Now, if you have questions and you forgot how to use some of these features, you can always go to our website to check out one of the library guides. Also, you can send an email to this email address. Okay, so unfortunately today, my colleague Rebecca Wong, who's actually the person who's responsible for the scholarly communication, she can't be with us today, but she'll actually be handling all the inquiries related to the IRIMS. Okay, so as I mentioned, so IRIMS is a place where you store all your OA document or your OA articles. So that's why actually we encourage everyone to do so. Now, of course, I know everyone's like really busy, and actually understanding whether an article is OA or not, there's actually many terms and stipulations from each publisher. So we understand that everyone's like really busy, so we actually have dedicated staff at the library to help you check it. So we are now actually in the middle of something called the manuscript collection exercise, where we've actually built a small mini website on the library server that we invite specific faculty members to actually upload their own articles onto our server, and then our staff will get it and then check it for you. Okay, and if we find that there is OA compliance, it's good to go, then we'll actually upload that article for you on IRIMS. Okay. So, and I'm not exactly sure where we are at this moment on this exercise, but I think faculty members should be receiving emails like on an ongoing basis about these OA article collection exercise. Okay, so that's one initiative that we're going through right now to reach the OA compliance KPI. In addition, we also have the e-journal HKBU service. So basically, we are also like a journal publisher ourselves. We already have 4 e-journal published on our HKBU server. So the newest one is actually this one here. You see a screenshot on there. It's called Sino Humanitas. So this is the latest one out of the 4. We'll actually be having another one coming up as well. I don't have the detail for that, but we're actually moving forward on this. So so yeah, this is basically the OA relating to OA compliances, the activities that we are going through right now at the library to in addressing the OA compliance KPI. Okay, so that's all I wanted to, and Wayne and I would like to share with you about open access. Okay, so if you have any question, please you can ask us about it in the Q&A session, and I'll hand the floor back to Chris.
Super, thanks so much. Eric, speaking of questions, I just enabled in Mentimeter the ability to ask questions at any time, so you can pop them in there as well as into the Zoom chat. I know Maggie has been fielding some there too. Thanks so much. I just want to, maybe I should go back, but I just want to talk a little bit about that, because I was very genuine and sincere when I said this is so exciting and important for the library. And I think Wing is being entirely too modest in terms of her achievements with her team. I do think we are leaders in Hong Kong in this space. The Taylor and Francis agreement was a lot of work, but with an excellent outcome, not just with the open access, but as Wing mentioned, the access to subscription content as well. I mean, 1,200 journals is a huge amount of new information for our community to access. And it really emphasizes this transformative aspect. The idea in some point in the future is for everything to be open access. That's the transformation. Like theoretically, if every university in the world had this sort of agreement with the publishers, all of our money, which is now spent on subscriptions, will be spent on open access. So same content, it's just free for everyone. That's the ultimate goal. And I do want to reiterate what Eric was saying about the manuscript collection exercise. I received my email this morning, and I was very embarrassed because Katie, who is our open access officer, the email asked me for a manuscript from an article from 10 years ago, and I I had a quick look, but I no longer have the manuscript. But for a more recent book chapter, I was able to send that to her. But like Eric was emphasizing, they will do all the checking. Just find the manuscript, which is what I did in my files, send it off to them, and they will do all the hard work of making sure it complies with the various policies. I want to just give you a very brief word on the space. If you came or if you're here in person, the space that you walked through, the Trans-disciplinary Discovery Commons, a new physical space in the main library. And this is related to another of our strategic goals, which is to support the new transdisciplinary undergraduate programs, which are very important to the university. So as you can see from this photo, and if you're here by turning your head and looking outside, it's the intent of the space is to support transdisciplinary learning and discovery, right? It's meant to be a more active space. It's meant to be somewhere where students can discover. You can see out there, there's some student work actually on display at the moment. Now, even though it's supporting the transdisciplinary programs, we are at pains to emphasize it's not exclusive to them. It's open to all students. And something that we've talked to the faculty about is the idea that transdisciplinarity extends across all of our programs of study. And it can be used, and it will be used in future for events and exhibitions. We really do want it to be an active space. And I do think it's a very, very appropriate initiative to showcase at Library Faculty Connect Day, because it is a true partnership with the faculty. We formed a steering committee with the program directors of the transdisciplinary programs, and we are having very lively discussions about how we're going to use this space and how to make it the best possible space for the students to make use of. So just a brief update on that. I'd like to hand it over now. I've been looking forward to this one the most of all. Sorry about this. No offense to Wing or Eric, but I'd like to invite our Special Collections and Archives librarian, Wan Yu, to talk about digitization of the university's publications.
Thank you, Chris, and good afternoon. I would like to take the next few minutes to talk about the university archives and our digitization project. So the University Archives is one of the special collections that's managed by the Special Collections and Archives team here in the library. Our purpose is to preserve the corporate memory for the university. In the collection, I've brought just a few things for you to look at. We've got a huge collection, but we've got publications, records, and artifacts, etc. So like this one, this is the 1960 graduating book. So it's for the very first graduating class of the Hong Kong Baptist College, long before the institution became university. We have collections from faculties. So this one is from the School of Continuing Education, and this one from the School of Chinese Medicine. We also have newsletters, special publications. There are a couple of campus newsletters published throughout the years, and we've got most issues of them. There are special issues like the Baptist Week in the 1980s and the 15th Founders Day Banquet. So these are more kind of formal publications, but we also have like brochures, like promotional brochures. We have prospectuses for different courses. We have event programs, and last but not least, concert programs. We have smaller pamphlets, flyers, etc. from different times. But in addition, we also have little artifacts, posters for different events held in the university, videos, and a lot of photographs of events or people. We also have quite a few records like meeting minutes and stuff like that, that documents the university's history. So to support the library's strategic priority 1, which is to increase investment in digital information service resources and accelerate digitization, we embarked on a digitization project last year. And after 1 year's effort, we've now got 17 publications online. And I would like to show you how to Thank you. Oh, okay, thank you. That's the one search room. Okay. This is going to search for the Baptist Facts for me. Facts, I think that. Yep. So Baptist Facts is another one of the campus newsletters. So now we can see there are 2 records, one published by the college and later on by the university. If you click on online resources, that will take you right to the publication itself. And you can see what issues there are and read through each one. From this screen, you can also download or print each copy. And what we upload, we've also got OCR, which means you can search the full text within that issue. If Chris can go back to the library's homepage. Yep, thank you. Yep, so this is what I would like to show you. This page called Collection Discovery contains all the digital resources that are either created or hosted by the library. So you can see the Baptist College or Baptist University publications right here. This is where you can see all the titles that we've got. So all the 17 are here. And our next titles will be student publications, some of the student newsletters, newspapers. Okay, we can go back to our slide. Thank you. Okay, so next slide. Okay, so our next in line are student publications. But this year, we're also working with the School of Communications to digitize all of their publications using their funding, which is very exciting for us. And after that, we will be selecting certain records as well as photographs to digitize and put online, so we can have a variety of material covering different years of the history of the university. So we welcome anyone to use the university archives. Most of the stuff you can find through the one search, or you can browse online. But if you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to come and ask, send us an email or ring us up. But more importantly, you can also help us build this collection. You may come across or receive publications from the university or your faculty, department, office, center, and please consider giving us a few copies in case we miss them. And also, if you see your colleague packing up for retirement, chances are there may be stuff that we would love to take to add to this collection. So please don't hesitate, contact us anytime. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Just before I hand it over to Eric for the next slide, I just want to commend our team. Well, I think they've done tremendous work just surfacing the university archives, and I love the way those digitized collections are presented. I did a unintentional deep dive. I thought I'd just have a quick look, and I ended up spending, I think, 25 or 30 minutes going through some of these historical publications because they are so interesting. And yeah, just to echo what Wan Yu said, yeah, let her know if you have any use for the archives, or indeed if you want to add to them as well. So thank you so much again. And with that, another exciting digital experience. Eric again.
All right, so I'll briefly introduce some online courses that we are currently creating. Right, so the library has actually been quite committed in helping our HKBU students to acquire new skills, acquire new literacy, and also even develop new interest, by offering a lot of workshops of different types. Some are very skill-based, some are very interest-based. Now, before the pandemic, of course, we have a lot of these like face-to-face workshops. But, a lot of things have moved online since 3 years ago, such as, webinars and Zoom meetings and things like that. What we wanted to do is actually take it one step further and say, can we actually offer these learning experiences online in a way such that students can learn at their own pace, okay? So we started experimenting with creating, using our institutional LMS, HKBU Moodle, to create 2 learning modules, Introduction to Copyright and Introduction to Python Programming, okay? So basically it's a self-paced, Moodle classroom where a student with curated a series of videos. Some are created by us. Some are actually found, curated from different places related to, copyrights and Python programming. And basically students go through this, kind of learning. There are quizzes, there are assignments on the way to test the knowledge. And at the end, when they finish everything, they complete all the quizzes, get the scores, then we offer CCL credits to them. Okay, so just like a regular kind of CCL learning events. So this is the 2, classroom that we've developed so far. We're actually going to be developing a little bit more in the future. So it will be the things like related to data processing, analysis software like SPSS or Advanced Excel. So, we've been actually offering this kind of workshop previously, but we think maybe in the future, we can just put all this online. And then in the face-to-face workshop, which is actually now coming back because, the pandemic situation is like now alleviating, that we can actually teach more advanced, skills to them in the face-to-face workshop. So that's kind of a plan. So we've been running these, on learning modules for, I think, about 7 or 8 months now. So we have quite a handful of students who actually attended it. And you may be asking, okay, so what if they have questions and problems? Well, we have our email address and contact information. So I'm actually the person who's manning the Python programming course. So I get, regularly student coming, emailing me, how do I, do this exercise? And I can actually, most of the time, help them online. Just reply to emails and they can get, get the assignment done and things like that. So far we think it's quite effective. And so that's why we'll be continuing with this trend. So now, in addition to the CCL credit that we give out, we also issue digital badges. Okay, so this is quite a thing now. Among young people, we chose to correctly digital badges. So basically, in addition to the CCL credit, we also issue these digital badges where a student can actually share on their LinkedIn profile, their social media, after they complete this Moodle module. So far, we've issued 70 badges for the Introduction to Copyright and 50 badges for Python programming. Okay, so you can see kind of the number, of students who are completing these courses. So I think this is quite encouraging, and that's why we want to keep moving forward in that direction. Okay, so yeah, that's what I want to share with you about these new online learning modules. So if you have any students that you think are, want to pick up new skills, please tell them about this and just go online, go on Moodle, sign up for the course and take it from there. Okay, thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Eric. That's great. I had no idea we'd issued over 100 digital badges. So that's fantastic. Yeah, and it's a real alignment with our strategic priority, right, of giving or making available these self-learning resources so the students can equip themselves with the skills that they need. I think very much aligned with transdisciplinary learning as well. Our last little section here, and I won't spend too long on it, but just some highlights of the new e-resources that the library has acquired recently. So I've talked a lot about the transdisciplinary programs, and they take a sort of set of core courses that's called Global Challenges. And these courses center the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations. So to support that program, we have subscribed to this database called SDG Online, provides students and faculty as well with very ready access to reliable information sources, all aligned with the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. Very useful resource. We've expanded our sort of archival resources as well. This one is fascinating. If you're like me, I was a history student years ago, but the Hong Kong News is the newspaper that was published in Hong Kong during the Japanese occupation. So it's from the Japanese perspective, and these articles are just fascinating to read. It was apparently printed on the abandoned presses of the South China Morning Post. So very, very fascinating historical document there. And also this last one here, Encoda, just showcasing that it's not just about traditional text and journals and things like that, but this is a digital sheet music app. So for the Academy of Music in particular, hopefully a useful resource for their students and faculty to engage with. Okay, so we now come to, I think, the most important part, which is the questions and answers. We've dumped a lot of information on you. I can see there are a few questions there already. Thanks, Maggie. I guess you've transferred some in from Zoom as well. Ooh, I guess this is for Wing maybe. For the CUP journals, I guess the 14 articles that were published open access, do we have that information, the particular journals they were published in? I guess we can get it. Will take us a little bit of time, though. Thanks for that one. We'll take note of it. This next one. Let me try and answer this one, Wing, but correct me if I'm wrong. It depends on the deal. That's why Becky and Wing have to spend so much time negotiating. Of course, ideally, we would love to have deals where we get access to all of their journals, but each publisher is different. So for these examples here, Wiley, unfortunately, no. We just maintain our existing subscriptions to Wiley, but we do get the open access. But for Taylor and Francis, I believe, yes, mostly, right? So sorry, particular collection, social sciences and humanities. So even in Taylor and Francis, not every single journal, but still a sizable number, 1,200. Are those 1,200 new journals? Yeah, non-subscribed journals. So the answer there is, it depends. Anything to add to that, Wing? Yeah. Nothing to add? Okay. I did a perfect answer. Thank you for that one. Can students publish under the transformative agreements? I think for all of them, yes, right? Again, it varies from deal to deal, but as far as I can recall, reading the license agreements, all of them do allow students. So research postgraduate students or any student affiliated with HKBU, they are considered an eligible author under these agreements. True, they have to be the primary corresponding author, not a co-author. Great, good question. I think that one's, so we've only 3 questions. Are there any questions in the room? Minghua, I'll ask you to speak into the microphone so the Zoom folks can hear.
First of all, just want to say that this event is always something that if I can manage, I don't want to miss. You know, every time I come here, I learn so much, and just the library and then also colleagues of the library just have made the library so vibrant, and so thank you so much. A follow-up question about that transformative agreement. So the idea is we need to publish with a journal that we currently subscribe to. Okay, and we don't. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, it also depends on the terms in the deals. So for Taylor and Francis, it will only limited to the hybrid journals. Hybrid journals are the one that actually still have a mix of traditional paywall resources plus OA articles. So I know TNF, they may have some they call gold journals that the entire journal is actually open access, then you have to pay the APC, article processing charge. So this is why the negotiation is so long. I mean, for some publisher, even like Wiley, at the beginning, they also only allow us to publish on hybrid journals. But now, finally, after rounds of negotiation, they say, okay, all your Wiley journals plus also their sister company, Hindawi journals, can also be included. So it really depends. Yeah.
I think Professor Hill brings up a very good point. Actually, I have a question. So, like, there are some Wiley journals that we will not have access to under this deal, but can we publish open access in? Okay. So that's really interesting. So there might be journals we don't subscribe to, but they are covered for open access. Yeah, so that is good. Thank you.
Thank you. So you're talking about the having to be a corresponding author. This is limited to the student authors, or faculty members also have to be the corresponding author. Oh, okay, I see. All right.
Yeah, just to state for the record, yes, faculty also need to be the primary or corresponding author to qualify as the eligible author. Yeah.
And also pay attention. We will post the information on our library website, but not all the published materials will be counted under TA. I remember there was one faculty member, she wrote a book review and published on Cambridge University Press, but unfortunately, review is not counted under the TA. So please, I mean, also take a look at what include or what are excluded. Like I think was it Taylor and Francis or Wiley? They do, I mean, provide us a list of what are not, I mean, being included under TA. So sometimes it could be, oh, your response to the editorial comment, something like that. They may not count under TA. But peer review research articles, I mean, that definitely will be included. Yeah.
Thank you. So you can see from these questions, there's a lot involved in the TA agreement. So it's going to be a learning experience, but I definitely think it's the right direction to be heading in, because as Wing said in her presentation, we want to increase the impact of HKBU research. Thank you for the questions. Are there any more questions? Don't be shy.
Thank you. I have a question about the digitization project. I don't know, for example, how we want to add to this archive. How do we judge, whether, what we consider may be valuable to the library will be considered valuable, and whether e-versions, for example, I'm the director of the Center for Translation. We published, starting for 2 years ago, we started publishing a e-newsletter. So I just don't know whether, that will be.
I'll let Ronyu speak to this important question.
That's a hard question. Non-digital publications from different parts of the university, we have started downloading them and saving a copy in our own drive, just in case they disappear from the website, or the website is renovated, or older issues were taken down and for newer issues to be uploaded. So we've started downloading, but we're not very comprehensive at the moment. Especially things that come on email and may not have a very easily accessible PDF version online, we'll contact the office, and sometimes they will send us a PDF copy for us to keep. So again, it's a bit of case by case. But if there's any publication that are at risk of being wiped from the internet, we will be very, very keen to know about them and to get copies of them. But as long as they are on a university website, we're not uploading them again on our own website just yet. But one day, if they disappear, then we will have to give people access to them from our own copies. We're also looking into archiving HKBU websites. So in the process of talking with relevant bodies to get advice about that exercise. We're hoping to archive websites regularly, so we capture how the websites look and feel, as well as all the information or publications that are linked to it or embedded in it.
It's maybe share a bit more. It's the Wayback Machine, right? The same. If you're Internet Archive, so if you're familiar with the Internet Archive, it's essentially using that same architecture, that same process to preserve the university's web domain. So great, thank you so much. Oh, in the chat, would you mind reading it out to Maggie?
So Dr. Sam Lau is asking, would there be a full list of journals covered by the TAs? So it's more handy for faculties to explore them.
I think so, but let's get it from Wing herself.
Yes. The thing is, publisher, I mean, their journal profile could change every year. I mean, like, oh, they may stop some publication, or they may transfer their publication out, or they may get some new journals in. But I think when they go to the website, we will try to get add a link, because usually the publisher will put the latest list of eligible journals on their website. So I'll make sure that when I work with the DIRS Rebecca's team, and we will try to put that link on, but rather than a static journal list, because it could change every year. Yeah.
Sweet. And I think something that we haven't mentioned, and correct me if I'm wrong, that we want to make this process as automatic for the faculty as possible. So when you submit, you don't have to do anything special when you submit your manuscript to the journal. If you're eligible, the only thing you must do, make sure when you submit, you use your HKBU email address as the contact point. Don't use your Gmail, because then they don't know your affiliation. Because basically, we have given them a list of our domains. So when the publisher's system sees, oh, you're affiliated with HKBU, they know that we have a deal with them, and so it will go through the open access workflow. But as Wing says, there will be lists of journals for you to double check.
Oh, and heads up, because we have 4 new TAs will be in place soon, we will work with the publisher to organize author workshops in coming 2 months. So for any academic staff interested in knowing the process, definitely please register for those Zoom events. Then you will know what is the process of submitting, or whether you will get any alert for filing the request, so and so. Yeah.
Thanks, Wing, and thanks, Dr. Sam Lau, for the question. We expect more questions about the TAs in the coming weeks and months. Are there any more questions, Clara?
First of all, thanks so much for organizing the event, and like I could see the huge efforts to the TAs. And my questions about TA journals. Just to follow up from the previous conversations regarding Taylor and Francis, because they're a big publisher for my discipline. I can see that it covers 1,200 journals. Does it mean that it covers all humanities and social sciences journals?
I think for the subscription access, yes, but what about the tokens? They cover the whole portfolio?
As they are hybrid journals.
As long as they're hybrid journals, yes. Yeah. And by the way, that's why I was very happy with Taylor and Francis, because I know some of our TAs were very science focused, like chemistry. So we heard the feedback from the faculty from social sciences and humanities that Taylor and Francis would be a good get. So very excited about that. First in Hong Kong to get Taylor and Francis. The question is, what about Sage? Have we talked to Sage at all? Basically, Wing saying she needs a rest. Well, yeah, not that she needs a rest, that she needs to turn her attention to another major project.
I mean, throughout the year, if we receive any publisher proposal, particularly we will be interested in through the consortium with the other 7 UGC institutions, because usually if we bargain together, we may get a better term. Although it's not the case in Taylor & Francis, because Taylor & Francis at the beginning, I tried to negotiate on behalf of the consortium, but they keep saying, no, your A libraries, everyone have different situation. So eventually, only HKBU negotiate directly with them. So Sage, okay, we will keep in mind, but yes.
Okay, well, we've gone a little bit over time, so thank you so much for your attention. If you're here, of course, you can stay a little bit longer and talk to your liaison, but thank you for those attending on Zoom. We really appreciate it, and we will put a recording up of this event once we've had a chance to do a bit of editing. So again, thank you so much for coming, and look forward to seeing you next year. All right, bye-bye.